Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tommy C here for your Shot from the Point Rangers Tampa Bay Lightning recap. And I couldn't get to talk dead on Dave today. I actually wanted to record something and give my piece with this game. Sorry for the lack of graphics and all that other stuff, but I'm still on my honeymoon, and I desperately want to get back in front of a microphone again. But here it is, Tampa Bay, New York Rangers, Game 7. First and foremost, let's get all the formalities out of the way. Congratulations to the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have impressed me. It probably took a little too long. I always knew this roster was full of talent, but I also know that just having a talented roster is not going to take you all the way to the Stanley Cup. It's a thing of leadership and everybody firing on all cylinders, and that appears to be what's going on. The goalie's playing well. The forwards are playing well. It's a balanced scoring effort. The Stars, when they're not scoring, they're contributing in other ways, and when they are scoring, they're winning hockey games. Tampa's gone up against 3 tough teams. They have been long series, which I think may hurt them next round, but we'll get into that later. The Tampa Bay, I knew it probably was over with the Rangers when Killorn scored his goal, the first goal. It's just one of those like superstition things that I've seen in the past. You get the one guy that doesn't have the big name that makes the big play, and that's remembered. And that seemed to be, although the Rangers never gave up, that seemed to be the death knell for the New York Rangers, because I think John Cooper really figured out Alain Vigneault, and I think he was able to actually read the offense and the defense, and he somehow knew, I guess through the eye test and not analytics, what adjustments he needed to make for an eventual Lightning victory. Now, having said that, I had kind of this fantasy of Dead on Dave interviewing me, because I desperately wanted to get on the air today or make some kind of video, even if it is in this low quality. If I were interviewed and somebody asked me who's the MVP of the series, it wouldn't be the guy with the hockey stick. It goes back to the guy I was talking about before. It's John Cooper. John Cooper was amazing. The subtle adjustments he makes, the fact that he's not the type of coach that just has one system and just tries to cram it through even when it's not working. When he sees what's not working, he makes adjustments. And not only that, the players, they have no problems with the adjustments. They believe in their coach, as expressed so well by Steven Stamkos in his speech, I would almost call it, with Pierre Maguire. He really is a well-spoken guy and a real team leader. I could really I hear that exuding from Steven Stamkos. And one of the things he said that really caught my attention was the fact that he said that they asked him something along, I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines of, why do you think you got swept last year by Montreal in 4 games? And he said something effective. Well, I think some of the players were scared there, and they're not scared now. They know what to do. There's young guys. It's a very young team. Lightning team is a very young team, and that made me think back to why I wasn't so pro Lightning in the beginning. I was very happy with them getting in the playoffs. I predicted a blowout by Detroit, but they had so much trouble with Detroit and at times Montreal that I really didn't see that. Oh no, they're not ready yet. But that's not the case. Steve Stamkos and the Tampa Bay Lightning are ready, from the 4th line to the 1st line to all 3 defensive lines. They're more than ready to move on, and but they very well have a shot at the Stanley Cup. I think they may have played too many games, but I'll get into that another time. And even if it has an impact at all, because the Tampa Bay Lightning have consistently sort of fooled me. They fooled me when I thought they were going to blow out Detroit. When they got through Detroit in this Game 7, I started feeling to myself, well, maybe these guys aren't ready, and they are. And I think that has a lot to do with John Cooper's coaching, the way he's able to just kind of analyze the coach he's up against, the strengths and weaknesses of the team he's up against, the different lines he goes up against, and he was able to beat the President's Trophy, the best team overall in the regular season, New York Rangers. And I expect them. I'm not ready to say that Tampa should win a Stanley Cup. I think they have a couple disadvantages going against them. It doesn't matter who they play, although I think they actually they really haven't played a super physical team. I almost see if I were the Rangers to win, I probably would have wanted the Ducks. I don't know if they don't want Chicago. Maybe possibly Chicago could underestimate them, and I have so much faith in John Cooper now to actually, he might be the guy to be able to solve Kane and Tace. But I mean, that's just a whole other story altogether. But overall, I'm very happy with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They surprised. But keep this in mind too. They always have the talent to win the Stanley Cup. Just because your roster's stacked doesn't mean you win. We've seen it many, many times. Everything has to be firing on all cylinders. And from the goalie to the fourth line, to the coaching staff, to everything. And Tampa looks like that type of team. I don't like how many games they lost going into this. If I was a Tampa fan, and you see this happen a lot of times. You get to the Stanley Cup final, and one of the teams is dog tired. I don't know if that's going to be the case for Tampa, but I've seen it happen before. Flipping to the New York Rangers. Certainly the New York Rangers didn't play a bad hockey game by any means. Henrik Lundqvist and Steve Stamkos said this before. This game would have been 4 or 5-0 had it not been Henrik Lundqvist. And that's why it's such a bad taste in your mouth, because both Martin Brodeur, Patrick Roy, and Henrik Lundqvist have the most Game 7 wins in hockey history. Had Henrik Lundqvist won it, he would have moved on and passed those two greats. Basically, maybe the 1 and 2 best goalies that ever lived. And I find myself rooting more for maybe Lundqvist. I think maybe some other Ranger fans do too, especially ones my age that witnessed the '94 Cup. It's really tough for Hank because he keeps on putting these spectacular performances, and his team can't seem to do it. I certainly have no problem with Alain Vigneault's coaching. I can't wait to have him back next year. He's done a spectacular job with the Rangers. There's no way they should ever let this guy go, barring some kind of complete collapse. But there's going to be a lot of talk in the offseason what the Rangers need to do to kind of go to that extra mile. And I can't think of any. Who is out there that is going to just put so much life into the New York Rangers where they're going to get over that hump and hoist the cup? I don't know. Is there one player in the league besides maybe like Sidney Crosby, which is out of the question, or Kane and Taze that could change, or Sagan or something like that? I don't think there's just like one thing that you can do that's gonna turn the fortunes of the Rangers. And plus, here's the thing: all 4 teams in the Western Eastern Conference finals they're very close teams. They're not teams that any of these teams could win the cup. All 4 of these teams are fantastic teams. There's no weak one in the bunch. I felt like last year that maybe the Rangers, Montreal, they're the weak ones in the bunch. And the Kings and the Blackhawks were the superior teams, and of course the Kings went on to win the Stanley Cup. But I can't think of one particular move, except maybe this. Rangers were, not so much in this game, were killed on face-offs versus the Capitals, and in some sense against the Penguins in the first round. Why do we have Rick Nash around? This guy is a goal-scoring phenom. I mean, for the guy his size, he can move the puck around people, make brilliant plays happen. But he's proved 3 seasons now. So I think the litmus test is over. That he can't turn it on in the playoffs, that he's a bit of a second-guesser, that for some reason. Now, he showed times in this series where he might be waking up. It's not going to ever change. Rick Nash is never going to be a great playoff performer. So, here's my proposal, Ranger fans. Nash has got to go. He still has some value. But you're going to have to bring a center in. And I mean a center better on face-offs than one of our centers. And that means one of our centers have to go. And then maybe you bring in some draft picks or special kind of player, maybe a young player or a prospect after that, because the Rangers don't need Rick Nash. Or maybe you get a guy to replace Martin St. Louis, who I think his career's over. Get rid of Nash. Get some value, get a center for him, and then you're going to have to move one of our favorite centers out. Faceoffs killed the Rangers. They killed the Rangers, even though, don't count Game 7, because yes, they did dominate. But it wasn't enough, and it probably dragged all of their series on too long, including Pens, and including versus the Pens. So move Nash. Move Nash in for a guy that could replace St. Louis. We don't need him. We simply don't need the guy. We can make the playoffs without Rick Nash. Anybody honestly believe that? That we can't make the playoffs without Rick Nash? We need a guy to win faceoffs. And there may be maybe a little more of a physical emphasis for the New York Rangers. Other than that, I really don't have a problem. But they had a great season. You know, it wasn't like last year where it was like, wow, they had a rocky season. They went all the way to the final. I think it's a much better hockey team in a lot of ways. But the guys they paid to make the big plays aren't doing it. St. Louis, his time's past him. No complaints there. I thought he did a lot for the Rangers last year. And Rick Nash, he's not a playoff performer. He's not good for New York. He's not that type of guy. He's not that type of leader. He doesn't wear an A. And I think being only 30, 31 years old, you can get some excellent value for him right now and possibly move in a center that can win faceoffs consistently. The only one at the center I would leave off is Moore because he can win faceoffs. Because that's a big thing. The Rangers' power play was anemic. You need to win the faceoff to set up your power play. It's still a very good hockey team. I'm not crying my eyes out. I'm not crying all morning. You know, I heard Little Lestito say that this hurt Labborn last year. Yeah, because we're sort of expected to win, but I gotta be honest, that President's Trophy stuff doesn't mean anything to me. And the bottom line, the Rangers didn't win because the guys they pay to score goals and the guys that consistently score goals all season didn't. You can't have anemic superstars in the playoffs, no matter how good they are in the regular season. And they were stuck with them, but that's it. And who would have known that time might have been up for Martin St. Louis? Be interesting what he does in the offseason. But that's the only thing move I can make because I don't think there's going to be one available pickup out there for the Rangers to turn everything around. Makes no sense to me. I don't see that happening. Thank you very much for your time. Make sure you get your picks in right after tonight, Chicago versus the Anaheim Ducks. I will be watching that. I'll probably make it a video tomorrow, assuming this works. And enjoy the rest of your hockey playoffs. I will be back sometime next week. And make sure you check Shot from the Point Live with Joe Cronin, 3 p.m. Sunday, right here on this channel, with Mr. Jake Link and Jeff, the bluesman, Jeff the Huff Huffman. Thank you very much for your time. I'd like to hear your comments, opinions in the box below, or whatever you think, whatever you hate, like, dislike, put a comment. Do it. I'll see you around. Thank you very much for your time, and hit the stop button. Hit the stop button.